Hi, it's Lipstick Gal. Thank you so much for watching today. I wanted to do a ranking of all of the cheek products that I've been purchasing. And these are ones that have not previously been ranked. If you're curious, I did a complete blush ranking. I will link it for you here. And that is of all the blushes I had purchased up to that point. I think it was like August. Is a lot. And there are some blushes in this ranking today, but these are ones that I've purchased since that video. Okay, so I will leave it linked in the description box if you want, check the eye here. You know I'm a sucker for a lip product, but next in line would be cheek products. Bronzer, blush, highlight. And I have before me a wide range of things that I have purchased. Some of them from the beginning of the year until now. I tend to buy less highlight and less bronzer, but I went nuts on blush this year, so don't forget to check that video. So this is the product that I liked the least that I've tried so far this year, and I really wanted to love it. It's from Danessa Myricks, and I realized that either Danessa's products are like a home run for me, or I'm like, oh, wah, wah, so sad. And that's what this one kind of turned out to be. This is the Vision Flush. This is the shade Tiara. I know she has blushes. This is more of like a luminous product, but do you see how pretty it is? I was sure this was going to be perfect, especially for mature skin. And the minute you blend it in, it is pretty, it is lovely, but in like 2 hours, it's like, where did she go? What I do like about this, and I think a lot of it is probably, I'm not a makeup artist. I don't have those skills. I have not figured it out. And it was so kind of, that I didn't even want to try. But yeah, not my fave. Another one that I was just like so bummed because I was super excited about was the cream blush from Sydney Grace. I have the shade Dreamy. This is just not a formula that I feel works the way I like to wear blush. Now, super pretty color, lovely, but this is one of those that my face eats it, and like you start blending and it's like, hey, wait, where did it go? Okay, let me put a little more on. And the more you blend it, the more it's like, hey, wait, where did it go? So I feel like this has a magic act, like a disappearing act. And I just feel like this formula is not as tenacious as I want. I want to look like my blush hangs out all day. Also, okay, this wasn't terrible, but this was not my favorite. This is also the cream highlight from Sydney Grace. This one here is in the shade Happy Thoughts. I feel like out of all of the highlights that I have, it's okay. It's okay. It does a lot better of staying on the face in a visible way compared to the blush. But if I'm going to be recommending a cream blush or highlight formula, not these guys. At number 20, this one's not bad. It's just, it didn't wow me. And it's from Beauty Pie. Mine's all gooed up. All right, so this is the Triple Beauty Perfect Glowy Powder. This is a perfectly nice highlight. I like it because it doesn't really emphasize texture, but it's kind of, I don't know, subtle. Subtle, I think, is a great way to explain it. I tend to, if you're looking today, I love to glow. I do. And I feel like this is probably better for somebody who likes a little bit more of a light to no makeup sort of look. And I feel like that's what that's good for. Next product is a cream blush. This is from Make. This is their really beautiful, dewy kind of stick blush. I like it. This is the shade Swelter. And I feel like the reason this one is a little bit lower is not for the formulation, but it's because the shade is so intense. You kind of have to be wearing very little. I feel like I can't really pair this really well with kind of more intense eye looks because it's a lot of blush. Now, if you have a richer skin tone, this is going to be fabulous. But on someone as fair as me, I have to be so careful with this. And then everything else has to be really subdued. And I don't always want to go for that look. So it's not that it's a bad product. I feel like it wears well. I like the hydrated glow it gives to the skin. It's just not one that I'm reaching for, but I picked a shade that's not great for all year round. Here's something I picked up during the Sephora sale in the spring, and I wanted to love it and I was super excited for it. And it's the Haus Labs highlight. I have the shade Sunstone. I have been trying to love this product, and like, it glows. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. I find that, and maybe I picked up the wrong shade, that it's a little darker than I want on my cheeks. I feel like the color has a little bit more color to the base, And so when it's not in the light, you can kind of see a little bit of it. It works better when I wear it kind of like a blush topper, but out of all of my highlights, this is not my favorite. Here's one that's newer to me. I like it, but I think I would love it if there was a slightly different shade of blush in here. And this is the new Bijou Brilliance face palette from Pat McGrath. This one is in the shade Forever Nude. All right, so this is what you get. This bronzer right here is my favorite shade. This is in Honey Nude. The highlight in here is really pretty. It has a kind of a pearlescent, well, maybe more like an opalescent sort of sheen to it. It looks really white, but it's really lovely. But it's this shade right here of blush that is a little bit too pinky coral, and that's why I'm not reaching for it. It does beautiful looks. I feel like the powders in here, I have blushes, bronzers, and highlights in individual compacts from the brand. I feel like they're not perfectly identical. I feel like this might be like a slightly altered version of their powder products, but they're still really good, and I still do like it, and I have been reaching for it, but I kind of have to force myself to open it up, and it's all due to that blush shade in there. The blush, by the way, is called Naked Peony, and that's just not a shade that I tend to gravitate towards. This next one, I was loving at the beginning of the year. I may love it again come cooler months, but it's the Rare Beauty Highlight. I have two of these, and this is the one that's kind of lower down on the end. You can see mine's not perfectly domed anymore because she broke. This is the second one of these that broke. I had another one that was this exact shade. This was the shade Enlighten, and it broke, but it broke on shipment. So Sephora sent me a new one, this one. And then like it was jostling around in the drawer. I opened it up, boom, broken. These are so fragile. If you have one, be so careful. But I was able to repress it, and it's still just as lovely. And I feel like this shade, although like blinding, it is absolutely blinding. I feel like sometimes it's a little much. And here I am saying other ones are more subtle. This one might be a little bit much, but it's also because it's that kind of white pearly shade. It can be a little icy, and sometimes it looks a little too artificial. And especially on my more mature skin, I need a lot of setting spray to make it look less powdery. It's a beautiful glow, but I have to work a little bit harder when I'm using it, hence the reason that it's here. Here's one that I picked up this summer and I really like. This one is super easy to use. Okay, so this one is from Beauty Pie. This is a highlight in like a little stick. I love it. It feels kind of like almost like wet going on. And it's just because it feels like water. But this is it right here. This is the shade Moonlight. This is so pretty. I mean, when it's blended out, it is not quite as intense as the Rare Beauty or the one from House Labs, but do you see how it has such a pretty subtle shine? This highlights super easy. This goes over a set face. This goes over an unset face. When I'm using it over a set face, I do lightly graze it on the skin and then just carefully blend. I find that the formula works that way. It also works really well if you just, you know, like swipe your finger over it and then swipe it on. But this one, I was not expecting to be impressed because this one was like, she's all right. This one's beautiful, especially if you have mature skin. I love. This next one was actually free with the purchase, and you're gonna be surprised. It's a full-size Pat McGrath highlight. This is the shade Golden Moonlight. Now, the first one that I purchased from Pat McGrath was Golden Nectar, and I'll tell you that shade, although it's beautiful, the base of it was too dark and you could see it. It was looking like a darker stripe on my skin. And no amount of buffing was going to like make that impossible to see. But this shade here is perfect for my fair skin. Love, love, love. And I really like the formula from Pat McGrath. I prefer this one over the one from House Labs and the one from Beauty Pie. I feel like it just edges out, and it's the tone of it, the one from Rare Beauty, the kind of pearlescent one. I really like these, but I like that I finally have one from Pat that's light, that's not too light and it's not too deep. This is kind of like the Goldilocks of highlights for me. Here's a product that I don't think I'm ever gonna get to the bottom of. Well, probably never gonna get to the bottom of a lot of these, but this one really blew my socks off. This is from Beauty Pie. This is their cream bronzer. This is their Awesome Bronze Sun-Kissed Bronzing Cream in the shade Sunny Side. You can see mine got a lot of use this summer. last I saw, this is still available for purchase. This is a beautiful warm toned bronzer. This is the lightest shade. I have the powder sunny side version of this from Beauty Pie, which is another favorite, but it just blends with no effort. This is what I always thought the Chanel Tan de Soleil or Soleil, I don't know what it's called. The giant one that comes kind of like swirled in a pot with a black lid. I always wanted to try that, but then I heard they reformulated it and it was kind of like, you know, too oily and it never really set. This is what I was always hoping that product would be, and I never bought it. And then I tried this and I really love it. It is on the warm side. It's Shea bronzer, just gonna tell you. But this summer, this was so easy. It blended perfectly with a damp sponge or with a synthetic brush. And it was color and enough, but not too much. Really, really like this. So this next highlight is the one that I'm wearing today. And the reason it's down a little bit lower is because it's a little finicky. And it's the KJH brand highlight kit, the Hyper Shine kit. It comes with 3 parts. They give you a brush. They give you their clear Hyper Shine serum. That's all it is, just a clear gloss. And then they give you this pigment. This is the light pink shade. And you'll see I have some of the serum mixed in with the pigment here, but the pigment on its own is a little bit stiffer. It looks like this, but when you mix the two together, you get the most glorious glow. And the great thing about this is that you can tap this over a set face. You can even, like with this brush, you know, you can tap it in over powder. And this is, I mean, it's shiny, it's dewy, it's glowy. I think that is so cool. And this has never once messed up my foundation, my powder, anything else. It goes on lovely. I like that it doesn't really, I mean, it brings a lot of light to the face. And yes, you can see that I do have crow's feet, but I feel like certain powders, I feel like the one from Lady Gaga, the one from Beauty Pie, sometimes the way they sit on the face, because they are powder and they are dry, they can draw attention to the texture I have on my face. I feel like this brings light, and yes, there is texture there, but I don't think this is making it any worse. This is kind of just bringing light and glow to the face in a really intense layer, the way I like it, but it doesn't really highlight the texture that I have, which is kind of a cool thing to have. It's a highlight that doesn't make my texture look worse. I think the reason it's not higher up in this list is because you gotta mix it. I don't always want to do that. And I feel like I get to use this brush 2 or 3 times and it's time to wash it. And washing brushes is something that I enjoy as much as doing dishes. I made a Ritual Defeat order this summer and I fell in love with their cream products, and this highlight is stunning. This is the shade Phosphines. This is one of those kind of a little bit stiffer cream products. I like the glow on it. I like that this, when I put it on my skin, does not emphasize texture. I like that it is also hydrating and metallic, but it's not like super crazy. Like, I feel like the glowiest glow I have is the one I'm wearing today, the one from KJH brand. This one is definitely dialed down. It's a very different type of product, but I really, really like it for a subtler day. And I feel like this is a sort of subtle highlight that I like, where it is glowy, but it's not like, whoa, you can see from space. And this shade in Phosphines is beautiful, and it kind of makes me want to try another one from Ritual Defeat. This is quickly becoming one of my most used products, and it's the bronzing brick from Victoria Beckham. When I first got it, I was like, oh, it's nice, I like it. And then I started using other things, but there's something magical about these 2 tones. This bronzer here, I'm wearing it today, but I'm not wearing it as a bronzer. I actually have like a little, you know, kind of narrow but a fine tipped brush. I'll pick up that light colored powder and I'm using it right between like the tops of my cheeks and the concealer. One thing I have noticed about myself is sometimes my concealer can look fluorescent on the face. And this really light bronzing shade, it's not that different from my skin. And it has a way of just taking down the intensity of my under eye concealer, Now, I do use the bronzer in here. I use this to bronze. I use this for other things. Because at first I was like, this shade is useless. It's not. I just had to find a different way to wear it. And the reason I started doing that is because Khaki from Khaki Reviews Beauty does that. She and I are what she calls skin twins. We wear the same shade of concealer, foundation. And when I feel like sometimes, like, why are my under eyes like glowing in the dark? A little bit of this on a little tiny kind of precision brush makes all the difference in the world. I have fallen head over heels for the new M Cosmetics Pillow Plush Blushes. This is the shade Tickled. Now this is one that I don't use as much as the other because of the tone. Now I feel like as we're heading into cooler weather, I'm reaching for more cool tones. I like how it looks really intense here, but it doesn't have to be. This is one that sometimes I feel like if my cheeks are a little bit too, sometimes it feels like they're a little bit too orangey or a little bit too warm. Just a little bit of this on a brush and it makes all the difference. It kind of balances everything out. And on days when I'm wearing cool eyeshadow and a cool lip, this pulls it all together. I really love it. And the formula is so beautiful. It is kind of velvety. It is kind of plush and putty-like, but it's just absolutely beautiful. I feel really kind of bad that the rest of my blushes, this makes 4 blush formulas for M. I mean, Michelle must love her blushes. I can't stop reaching for these Pillow Plush blushes, and the compact, I mean, super cute. Love, love, love. Here's the other Rare Beauty highlight. I love this one. This one is in the shade Mesmerize. Oh my goodness. It's a soft pink shade and it is stunning. It is definitely like a super intense highlight, but I find that when I buff over this with something like an Hourglass ambient lighting powder that has a little bit of glow to it, but it has a way of softening everything and kind of bringing everything together. This doesn't end up looking too much. I feel like the one in Enlighten, the kind of pearly one, is a little bit more like in your face. This one's way high up because I use it all the time. Love. Earlier this year, I purchased 2 shades of the RMS Redimension Hydra blushes and I fell head over heels. Head over heels. I have a really beautiful kind of pomegranate shade and then kind of like a nude. It was the lightest kind of nude shade they had, but if I'm not careful, it can turn almost like a bronzer on me. So when they release new shades this fall, I picked this one up here. This one's Crystal Slipper. Okay, so I have 2 blushes on today. This is one of them. I love this shade. This shade is so pretty. It's like just barely. If you're a fair person and you feel like you end up kind of like 80s blush territory or clown territory, like too much blush too quickly, this shade in Crystal Slipper is exactly what I want. I'm head over heels for this. I can't stop reaching for it. It's one of the blushes I have on today and I love. All right, this is new. And I feel like it's kind of unfair to put it up this far, but I think this is going to be one of those things that changes the game for me. And it's a bronzing product, and it's from Makeup by Mario. This is the Soft Sculpt Transforming Skin Enhancer. I have the shade Light. This is a beautiful cream, slightly glowy bronzing. Okay, it's not really a bronzer, but that's how I use it. Because if you are looking to bring color to the face, but it not look like a bronzer, this is what you want. And do you see how once it's blended, it's kind of like, okay, this is what my skin looks like, but I needed a little bit of warmth. This is what I get. It is the softest, easiest. I'm like so impressed with it. I am wearing it today. I don't even know that when I put it on and I get the rest of my face on, it doesn't look like I'm wearing bronzer. She looks like bronzer. The one from Pat McGrath looks like bronzer. And that's okay, but sometimes, especially come winter, I want something a little softer. I want something that's gonna go with my fair skin. I want something that's gonna look like life and not like, I put on bronzer today. I feel like that's what this is giving. I'm kicking myself. I did not pick this up when it first came out, but I'm super impressed with this. And I feel like this is going to be constantly in rotation. One that instantly went into rotation when I picked it up at the beginning of this year and I love so much is the Gucci bronzer. This is the lightest shade in 01. I'm starting to lose the embossing on the pan because I use it so much, but this is one of those that kind of works like almost like a bronzer, where it's like a blush and a bronzer because it is slightly rosy tone. There's a little bit of pink in here. And this is one that on a day when I don't want to look like I'm wearing too much or trying too hard, I won't use blush. I'll just use this and I'll drape it everywhere and it's stunning. It's also really easy to, you know, go on whisper thin with a really kind of diffused, fluffy brush, or you can really pack it on, but it never looks too heavy. It never looks dry. It never looks overly matte. It's beautiful. I know she's expensive, but I really feel like this is worth it. Here's one that I told myself I was not going to purchase until I finished the other two that I had. They're different shades. And then I made a purchase this summer and I couldn't help myself. I went straight into my cart and I was like, don't do it, don't do it. And I did it anyway. And it's this. This is the Elevated Glow, the Seamless Skin Elevated Glow from Lisa Eldridge. And this is the shade Crystal Nebula. All right, but do you already see how much I've used of it? I love this stuff. Now, I have the shade Cosmic Rose. I have the shade Pink Moon. When these shades first came out, this shade in Crystal Nebula was the lightest, but do you see what it does? This glow is on another level. Look at that. She's stunning. Oh my goodness. All right, so I do like Pink Moon. I do like Cosmic Rose. I just don't reach for them now that I've got Crystal Nebula. So I'm gonna have to get myself to finally finish up the other two, but I've tried like 3 of the shades. This one is probably my favorite liquid luminizer. I like it more than the one from Charlotte Tilbury. I like it so much. I don't care about the more inexpensive options or at the drugstore. I will pay the Lisa Eldridge price because, I mean, look at that. Again, beautiful, glowy skin, but it doesn't look like highlight. It looks fabulous. And if you're looking for something that's going to bring glow, that's going to bring a little bit of a, like, what is it? There's something about you. This, and whatever shade you use, they're all beautiful, but this is my favorite shade. This is the one that I could not continue to do my makeup without. And yeah, been running through it. Definitely a repurchase. Love it so much. Here's the other blush I've been wearing and I can't stop wearing. And it's another one of the Pillow Plush blushes from M. This is the shade Peanut. You can see mine is all like gooed up. I didn't clean it up because I was using it today. I love this. This shade in Peanut is like the perfect kind of nude. It's very little. It's very soft. You can build it up. I like using it with a brush, but look at this. It's just stunning. And even though it is on the matte side, when you put it on, it looks more like your skin is flushing and there's nothing on your skin, as opposed to looking like blush. And this shade in Peanut is perfect for me. I'm always looking for kind of like almost a nude sort of looking blush without it being too rose or too peach. And this one is so pretty and so believable. I absolutely love it. This is how I like to wear it, where it's like just barely. It's stunning. Love this. Product at the top of the heap is one that surprised me. And I didn't expect it to be there, but I can't stop reaching for it. And it's the new highlight from RMS. This is the Redimension Hydra Dew Luminizer. This is the shade Prosecco Fizz. It's so beautiful. And the fact that I've already lost the RMS pan embossing on it, I feel like that says a lot. So it's right here. This is one of those that as you buff it in, there's a lot of texture on the back of my hand. Other ones show a lot more. This one, when you're using it on a brush and you're grazing it across your cheekbones, or you're using it under the arch of your eyebrow or on the bridge of your nose, Cupid's bow, like anywhere that you normally highlight, this can be as intense as like a wet shine look, or it can be just like a subtle, like a, and it never, ever, ever brings out the texture on my face. And it's weird because it's a powder. Because like this one, love, amazing, fantastic. I have 2 of this formula, and the pink one is like such a fave, but I'll tell you, I need to put a setting powder over this, and then I need to set it with a setting spray to kind of make sure the powder kind of melds in. And then I have to like just make sure that as I'm putting it on, I'm buffing, like I have to jump through hoops. No hoops necessary, just like brush, graze it on the skin, and it's beauteous. I really, really like this formula. I really hope they come out with more shades because this is absolutely stunning. Thank you so much for watching today. Oh, this was kind of fun. I'm trying my best to make sure that I'm only letting things into my collection that I'm actually going to use. And I feel like the only ones that kind of hit that were these guys, the creams from Sydney Grace and the Vision Flush from Janessa Myricks. And I feel like maybe it's time to try them again because I tried them as temperatures were warming up, and these guys came in August. And my skincare has changed, the weather has changed, maybe the way they wear will change. Or maybe just giving them a second go, I'll see them in a different light. But I feel like everything else I talked about is really getting used fairly regularly, but I definitely have my favorites that I can't stop reaching for right now. I would love to know, when you're thinking about cheek products, what does it take for you to actually make the purchase? Is it because it's new and interesting? Is it because you ran out and you're repurchasing? Or as your skin changes seasonally, or as you get a little bit older, are you changing the types of products? Are you moving from powders to creams, creams to liquids? Let me know your decision-making process in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching today. Have a fantastic week, and I will see you again soon.